Okay, we left off 180. Page 180, second paragraph. He gave a phenomenal moshel. To bring this out. He said there are two people who inherited property from their father, and they both had nothing. And the only way the property will produce profit, they have to invest in the property, time, but they have to earn a living. So how do you address both things? Have time to invest to cultivate the property that eventually should produce produce and grain to be able to sell it off. So what do you do? So he says the wise brother, what he did was he took on the job, earned whatever he earned to cover his needs, and at the end of the day, even though he was tired, he invested his ability to his best ability in that field, cultivated to a degree. But as time went on, he didn't spend all his earnings. He saved small amounts that he should have more time available to invest in his own property. And eventually, he was fully involved in his property because he had sufficient amount of money to be able to bring it to a point where that property was really going to produce profit, that property would cover him totally. The foolish brother, he worked, he had no time. At the end of the day, what did he do? He rested, he relaxed, he took his money, and he spent his money. And he never saved. So he never had time to really develop the property. Not only did the property not advance, it deteriorated, it became desolate, and it actually went into totally in a state where you couldn't even do anything with it. That was the foolish brother. So what is the analogous case? Olam haba, you live in this world. You have to live. In Kemach, in Torah, you have to address your basic needs. But the question is, what do you do at the end of the day? Right? At the end of the day, you want to relax. You want to take it easy. You want to have some level of enjoyment. So, of course, you need some degree of relaxation. You have to sleep, whatever it is. But sometimes, you have to push yourself a little bit. Right? If you have to stay in the office till 1 to complete what I have to complete, you're in the office, right? So, if you do that, you don't do netzach for eternity. That's the difference between the wise brother and the foolish brother. That's the analogy, the field to investing in one's life. There's a medrash. The medrash says that David HaMelech, David HaMelech was the leading Torah sage of his generation. The only one who was more brilliant to him was Doeg Adomi. That was his antagonist. It says David, besides the Gemara Brochos, it says he would sit and study Torah until he couldn't keep his eyes open any longer. That's David. David Melech Chai V'Kayim. He's the psalmist, the harpist. Played the harp. Good thing Howard's not here. We talk about Carnegie Hall over here. Lahavdil. Okay? He was very gifted. But David, his main emphasis and his investment was in his spirituality. But of course, he had 10. It says, Mara says, the story. He learned all night. When crack of dawn would come, all his advisors and wise men would come in, and they would say, your people need parnasa. They need livelihood. There's not enough to go. She says, let them help one another. She says, Eina kometz must be a sari. A handful of straw cannot satisfy the lion, meaning there's not enough to go around. So he says, if that's the case, he called his general. He says, okay, we have to conquer more territory. Conquest. We'll take new territories. We'll have, for the sake of the economy, we'll increase our wealth to cover others. Okay. So somebody's going to go, are you permitted to conquer it for yourself? You're permitted. Hamaskil kashiyayim b'moshel hazeh, he says, the one who's intelligent, if you delve into this allegory that he had said, is bonim menu inyone achriso. You have to reflect on the issues of the end of your life. Ultimately, where are we going to arrive? Ashi beso bemes, and that's truly your abode. That's the last station. V'yaslo b'chol yicholto, and you do it to your best ability. K'shun oseh lo lomo yasel k'misha oseh shel acherim k'dei atzorach v'asipik b'vod. Yeah? He says, when you address your physical needs, you do as you're working for someone else. When a person works for another person, do you work for how long do you work? Only as much as you have to work. You work, you're running your own business, so you stay longer than you have to stay. But if you're an employee, you work only the hours that you're supposed to work. You don't work longer. So addressing your material needs, it should only be what's necessary. Beyond that, you invest in your spirituality. Mishtadl misalim, he says. He says the fool, the hedonist, does to the contrary. His efforts are in the physical world. And he turns a blind eye on ultimately where he's going, his end. He says, I saw and I applied my mind. And I saw it and I took Musar. You know, sometimes you learn lessons from others. I remember this was in 1964. Baltimore, 1964 was a real out-of-town town. Okay? And I remember I had to go to a doctor. And I remember that winter, in the old yeshiva, you were able, the whole complex was, all the buildings were connected, and you could stay in not leave the building for months, if you chose to do so. I remember it was a long winter, it was even a leap year, and literally I didn't leave the building for about maybe 2 months. You know, I was fully involved in learning, maybe 65, and I had a doctor's appointment downtown Baltimore, East Utah Street. In those days, it wasn't you know, the Inner Harbor. In those days, so in those days, you know, when you got on the phone, you counted your nickels. You know, that's what it was. So I didn't take a cab. I took a bus. So take a bus, and it took about over an hour to get downtown. So if you take the bus, this was considered the suburb, even though it was in the city. It would go through various neighborhoods. And the bus goes by a golf course. People, you know, have the caddies, and there they carried on the backs. They didn't have these golf carts, you know. And people are sitting on the golf green. So I look at them, I say, does it make sense? Just waste your life all with a club, with a ball, and this guy carrying this bag behind you, and you're on the golf, just a waste of time. But it went from bad to worse. Get further down to the real inner city, you have these people sitting in front of a candy store on like milk pot crates, playing cards, playing dominoes, fighting, smoking, drinking. I say, it's a waste of life. What's going on over here? They come into, what are they doing with their lives? Just totally wasted. I just couldn't understand it. Till finally I arrived, you know, at the doctor. Whatever. Okay. 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 What I'm saying is that's exactly what he's saying over here, you know? But the person who's wasting his life doesn't even understand how he's supposed to invest his life. Lives are totally wasted. Totally. Have no relevance to spirituality, have no relevance to purpose, no relevance to anything. Right? What's the point? What's its value?
But these people have no guidance.
I'm not saying, but we're not talking about blaming anybody. It's not a question of fault. I'm not faulting them. But in the reality of the way their lives are being invested, what's the value? It has no value. It was a Jewish country club.
All the big business people have done it.
They didn't accept
Not even Jews. Not even.
so Jewish natives.
Do a bit of something else. Maybe. Yeah, right. 100%.
If you don't believe in Allah,
People, even
do
people.
everything you can because there's nothing extra.
100%. 100%. Not a problem. Not a problem. 100%.